Hello, brothers and sisters of the light. This is Julie Joy. Unfortunately, in today's recording, the first several minutes were missing, but I still have a nice recording for you. Enjoy.
Day long, all night long, all life long. Now, perhaps you may understand why you may feel exhausted at the end of the day. Not so much physically. I'm sure we've all been there. You know, you get off work, you come home, and for some, and you're not ill at all, you're fine, but you just feel drained. So if you're lacking any energy, motivation, inspiration, or joy in your life, I encourage you to explore something quite radical this year. You can take the next 3 months of your life to practice stepping back from your thoughts, realizing, relaxing into the gap between your thoughts. There is this quick pause between each thought where you can rest. Rest in the silence that is in the pause between each thought, and try to remain in that gap for as long as you can. When the next thought catches you, then step back and look for the next gap to rest in. The reason why I'm requesting you to take 3 long months to explore this process is this. The mind is like a very long locomotive train that is very heavy, and it has been on the same perpetual thought-following track, chugging along since the beginning of your life. So it is going to take a very long time to slow this train down and bring it to a complete stop. The train is not going to slow down so easily. So it can take many weeks before you see any real results. The ego is impatient because its time is limited. The spirit is patient because it knows it is eternal. Let go of the idea that you are not aware of yourself as the ever-present, changeless, inexpressible reality. Just let go. Srina's Adrata Maharaj. Most people in this world are not aware each day that they have the power to stop their minds and not participate in following and believing in every single thought that arises. They live their entire lives as a slave to the mind and do not realize that they actually are the real master behind the mind. They may try to force the mind to stop or move in a certain direction, yet only discover that they cannot control their mind at all. This is another cause of suffering and another reason to learn how to train and tame your mind. Your mind is like a wild, untamed stallion running freely through the forest. You cannot simply throw a rope around it and expect it not to pull away and rebel. Your stallion needs a soft, slow, calming, nurturing approach to create a real connection. You'll need to build a relationship of trust with it before it will listen to you. When you sit down and really try to befriend your mind with sensitivity and vulnerability, you'll discover that it respects you and wants to do whatever you want it to do. And it can do the most amazing things. There are 4 powerful reasons why we need to tame this stallion, silence the mind, tame the ego, and bring our being into total stillness. The most obvious reason is that you will stop believing in every single thought that comes your way is 100% true. You will be able to step back from each thought, set it, see it from a distance, and understand that it is not necessarily reality, but just another idea about reality. When you want nothing, seek nothing, expect nothing, then the supreme state will come to you uninvited and unexpected. Sri Nisargadatta Mirage. The second reason you'll want to remain in the gap of pure consciousness is that you will gather so much divine creative energy. A ridiculous amount of energy is available to those who can stop their mind in its tracks for even just a few minutes in a row. Bathing in pure awareness is like soaking in the most healing hot springs on the planet. After even just 45 minutes, you feel so relaxed, peaceful, open, and at ease with your life as it is. You feel healed all the way to the core of your bones. And yes, resting in the gap for 45 minutes feels like this, but even better. Third reason of all for resting in the gap between thoughts is that your consciousness gets the opportunity to expand into the realization that you are connected to the God source itself. When this mind is not living in a limited small world filled with thoughts, it drops into its infinite nature. You get to experience directly that your soul is made of pure consciousness. And when you access a state of no mind, you open this doorway to feel yourself as an eternal soul. There's no experience more amazing in this lifetime that any of us can have than this. Knowing directly that we are this ever-present, changeless, inexpressible reality is the Mount Everest peak experience for every human being. However, the 24-day awareness that you are that divine being who will never die is just the initiating point on our spiritual awakening journey. The rest of our lives are all about integrating this understanding, weaving it into everything that we do, and whoever we believe that we are. Wisdom lies in never forgetting the self, the supreme absolute as the ever-present source of both the experiencer and the experience. I am beyond consciousness, so in consciousness I cannot say what I am. Nisargadatta Mirage. 4 principles. Everything is an emanation of my mind. I am an infinite being who will never die. There is no ego. There's only one self. Nothing can point to the real self. The fourth and last reason to train your mind to rest in pure stillness is that you'll be able to manifest whatever you want in this life much faster and easier. You'll be able to focus your mind on one direction for a long period of time, which causes you to extend your creativity and power into things that normally you couldn't reach. With a laser-focused mind that can maintain a single pointed direction for many minutes in a row, you will meet success in life where you would have previously been distracted by something else. It's quite ironic that with the more we back away from our minds, the better we become at managing it. In other words, leave it alone. Yet perhaps this is just like working with anything in this life. To gain perspective and see the microcosmic perspective, we need to step away from the microcosmic world we are caught in. A lot of things point to leave the mind alone. A lot of people say, well, how do you do that? Stop making use of the mind and see what happens. Do this one thing thoroughly. That is all. Sri Nisargadatta Mirage. Now, some people carry this over the top, but You don't have to sit alone for a week in a dark room and focus on your breath to attain perfect stillness of the mind. You can do it, and you discover many amazing things about your inner world. This is a super fast yet emotionally challenging track to enlightenment if you're super tired of living in suffering. That's a lot of the times it comes down to people, they just really are done with suffering. They are drawn to a different direction, and that's within. Yet, if you have responsibilities and cannot just walk away from your normal life, you can continue engaging in the activities that you enjoy doing, but just approach them differently. Let this new space shine in of bringing more awareness into the gap between each thought, 24 hours a day, and see what happens. Discovering our inner selves, you can see, as multifaceted. Leaving the mind alone brings us out of suffering. As soon as we enter the mind, we're suffering. That's because the mind leads and we follow. But when you rest in between the spaces of the thoughts, just like the spaces between heartbeats, you're actually in the now. In the now, you leave the mind alone. You leave the ego alone. And it's the only way to master them. There's no other way. And you get to know them better because you're watching. You're not judging. You're watching how they operate, what they do. And then you're able to begin leading them. And you do it in such a subtle, soft way that they fall into it. Being happy inside is a big difference from being happy outside. Being happy outside is temporary. Being happy inside is forever. Acknowledging that and identifying it. Yet the mind, say, with most people on this planet, takes everybody out there. Takes them out there. Go out there. And then people, they just get lost. Imagine what it will be like for you, through the heart-mind, to have mastered the mind. And the mind is your friend. And mastered the ego, and your ego is your friend. So instead of them leading us for so long, we begin leading them. We can direct our thoughts as we choose, to focus and create, to move energy into form, bring it into reality, and experience it, manifest. But when you are under the control of the ego mind, it's like a Tasmanian devil. It's just everywhere and everything. You got thoughts coming and going, coming and going. You got them going and going and going and going, coming and going, coming. It's constant. You're pulled in every direction, yet you don't know why. And you're on one thought, then you're on another thought, then you're on another thought, then you're on another thought. It's like when we're in the now, we wander. Okay. And it's practice. It takes a lot of practice with practice. And the motivator is, do you want to suffer every lifetime? Do you want to be in suffering? Or do you want to be from the opposite end? Peace, tranquility. The true power is in peace and tranquility, not suffering, worrying, stressing, fearing. We're in this, it's kind of like a bubble, but you don't see the bubble. And everybody is in this, it's kind of like a you're scurrying, running forward, right? But to stop is difficult, to slow down. Because you look around, there's everybody's like you're all crammed in this one like tunnel, and you're all just moving forward. And no one's looking side to side. No one's looking side to side or behind to see where they're at and what they're doing. They're just moving forward, scurrying, rushing. Every now and then, you'll see someone peel off out of it. And then you keep going, and every now and then someone will peel off out of it. These are the people that are discovering, the beginning stages of discovering who and what they are in those bodies. How difficult is it for any of us to slow down? You ever notice that you feel this kind of it's a rush? It doesn't have to be heavy, but it's there. You can detect it. It's kind of waiting there. And you've got to hurry. You ever notice in life, it seems like everybody in one way, shape, or form is hurrying. They're in a hurry. And then sometimes you'll ask people or yourself, why are you in such a hurry? And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times people say, I don't know. I guess this is the way it's always been. It's the way I've been taught to hurry. Do you need to get somewhere fast? No, not really. And you notice how the outside world that we've created dictates to us through the social structure on this planet. What does it dictate to us? You got to hurry. You got to hurry. And when you're hurrying, you're suffering. You're burning unneeded. You're burning energy you don't need to burn in that direction. And then when you're in a hurry, you worry. Hurry, worry. And then, of course, stress. The more you hurry, the more stress you build up. I got to get here. If I don't get here, I'm going to get in trouble or something's going to happen. That's the ego mind and its insecurity and its control over you. Every one of us has that power. But unfortunately, we don't know that we have that power. We believe that everything is out there. Everything is out there. The experience, everything is out there. Nowhere else is out there. And we don't bother to look inside. The civilization of planet Earth is spiritually starved. Being so controlled for so many lifetimes by the ego mind in this massive race. It's a massive race. It's all over the planet. And many can't seem to get out of the race. To go over to the side, sit down, and just relax. Just watch as the rats rush by. And it's ego mind controlled. The planet is ego mind controlled. Power, right? Wealth, control, manipulation, and greed. All ego mind generated and motivated. Having to prove oneself is ego mind. Proving to yourself means that you don't trust yourself in that moment. You don't have that much faith in yourself in that moment, nor confidence. It's like you wake up in the morning and you immediately say to yourself, I am an immortal supreme being that never dies. These are all word energies. They're frequencies that you state to yourself. And it builds the understanding that you're more than that body. How do you think or feel it would be in this very moment, in this right now, that everybody knew on this planet exactly who and what they are within the body? They know that they're a God within the body. They know that they're pure consciousness. They know that they're pure love. They know that they're omnipotently powerful, but all through the not through the ego mind, but through the heart mind. Right now, it's all run through the ego mind. Control, destruction, annihilation, all of that, all the boogeyman stuff. But with just a small group of humans knowing who and what they are, change the whole planet. Change everything. We aren't change, we affect change. See, we, the gods, do not change at all. We're divine energy, essence. We create things that change constantly so that we can experience them. We have to have things changing constantly. We get bored otherwise. That's why everything is constantly changing. Sometimes we may accelerate time on the planet to move things along faster. Okay? But yet, so many on the planet don't know that the time has been accelerated. They kind of pick up on it, say, wow, where's all the time go? It goes so fast. But if you look at a child, the child will say time goes so slow. Interesting, isn't it? It's always been that way. The longer you're in the body, the more it seems that time flashes by. But when you're a child, it's the opposite. It's like, when are we going to get there? Why is it taking so long? Have you ever said to yourself, in this lifetime, one time or another, I thought this day would never end? Have you ever said that to yourself? I thought this day would never end. It seemed like it went on forever. When we stay out of the mind, we're not in time. All this is created by the ego mind. It's pretty adventuresome, I would say. Sometimes overly adventuresome for us, and other times. But what else would we be doing? Now, of course, when we find out that we are a God in these bodies, and we understand that we work from the heart mind, not the head, not the ego mind, and that we have the ego mind as our allies, right? And we direct them on what we want to have manifest. So then we start creating things that are absolutely magnificent. Total peace across the planet, right? Not short-lived either. Eternal. Eternal peace across the planet. No conflict. Ego mind is now at our beck and call. Not the opposite, where we're at its beck and call. And the thought process is we send thoughts to the universe. We send them. We create them within and we send them out. Now, all the mind chatter, where do you think that comes from? Everybody else's thoughts. Everybody else's thoughts. It's a constant flow of programming data, if you will. It's a database, and it's flowing constantly with programs. And all these different perspectives, because, you got mom and dad over here with this family, and they're raised a certain way with that family. Then you have another one. They're all different. All different. All 8 billion different. There isn't any one of us that are exact to each other. The only exactness is the gods that we are within these bodies. But as far as the life that we experience, it is so diverse that it's endless. You have somebody that has a whole different perspective and sees things totally different than you do. You probably run across this in your travels in this life. Then you come across someone that reminds you, right? They remind you of you. Like attracts like, right? So in the event you like yourself, and you come across others that remind you, they remind you of you, then you hang out with each other more. And it's a chemistry. It's an energy. Feels good, Not much challenge because they're a lot like you and you like being with you. Then there's the other ones that you say, boy, I couldn't, there's no way I'd be with them. Even though their perspectives are the opposite of yours, which means that opens up a whole new avenue to learn more. Okay? Because they don't think like you. They don't act like you. And these avenues is where we learn more from those people than people just like ourselves, or that we feel are just like ourselves. And it is suspect that we gravitate to that because we're so tired of being tired. And the tiredness isn't physical. It's spiritual. The reason there's so much fatigue amongst us is because we haven't really given our spirituality the time of day. So it's kind of like not been exercised much. And when you haven't exercised much and you go and you start exercising, we get sore, stiff, because those muscles and joints aren't used to that exercise. It's quite interesting. And then eventually, right, the soreness is gone, the stiffness is gone. But you're still exercising. The way that this planet evolves and we evolve is through the God, not the ego mind. We use the ego mind eventually as we master them as tools, right? And then eventually they're no longer needed and they evaporate. But you looking through history on this planet, you looking through all the conflict and turmoil and all the mongering and all the fear base and all the intimidation by these lower dark matter frequencies that are literally part of us, we begin to realize that by living out there, we have created the earth that we currently are witnessing. By living in here, through the heart-mind, everything transforms. Hate becomes love. Love becomes happiness, bliss, joy, peace, tranquility. We don't have the urge to dip in lower dark matter frequencies. We've been there. We've done that many times, not just this lifetime, repeatedly. We know the difference. Jay, I believe that we know the difference. So our journey, and as you can tell with these meditations, the journey, it's every angle is going within and practicing staying within. Reinforcing yourself in the morning when you wake up, before you stir, during the course of the day, when you lie your head on the pillow at night. It is a constant frequency that we generate in a higher frequency. This is why conflict on this planet is no interest to any of us. It was years ago, okay, the anger, the hate, destruction. But if you'll notice, it just isn't here anymore. As the light continues to flood in on this planet and illuminate everything, it's because we've chosen to increase our vibrational frequencies, and we continue to increase them. And the more we increase them, the more we bathe in them, the more we like it, and the more that we want to increase our vibrational frequencies on a constant basis and not intermittent, where it comes and goes. And sooner or later, as we practice, we become embraced by the gods that we are. The mind and the ego is our ally, so we direct them. We create things almost instantaneously. We eliminate all of the harm and damage that's been done to the planet. Whatever is done can be undone. And it's not, we are leaving the ego mind control base of humanity. We're moving into inside ourselves of the heart mind direction of existence. And that's exactly how things are transitioning on this planet. You can sit back and watch without participating and know this to be absolute reality, because we have collectively deemed it so. So this is a major shift. In fact, it is unprecedented, especially with a civilization that isn't all on the same page. See, some planets have, everybody's on the same page, the civilization's on the same page, so they all progress together. This planet is so diverse that some are, some aren't, some are beginning to. So that's how it processes. And more, so to speak, are jumping on the bandwagon because they want to go within. Is there anything you haven't, through lifetimes, experienced out there? In the material physical world, pretty much. We've, to certain degrees, we've experienced a lot of things just in this lifetime. Now imagine that you could keep your memory, right? And that you could say, I want this lifetime this time. I want to be able to experience these things. But you would be cognizant to it as you went into it. You wouldn't start over every single time. You wouldn't start over ever. And you would incarnate by your choosing, and you would experience that life. But you would have memory of past lives and future lives. So you would be in a completely different existence. I haven't tried this kind of life experience. I want that. You see, it's almost like kids in a candy store. We're picking different candies off the shelves because we've never tried them before. We want to see what they taste like. They're so different than being in these lives that we exist in, these bodies, and wanting to experience things. But with total amnesia, it kind of gets a little monotonous. It's just over and over and over and over and over and over again. We don't want a broken record. We want the record to end so that we can experience and move on. And as we choose, each of us choose, there's no forcing it. Only you can decide. Only you. And wisdom lies in never forgetting the self, the supreme absolute as the ever-present source of both the experiencer and the experience. I am beyond consciousness, and so in consciousness, I cannot say what I am. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. And remain still. Understand one reason why we are divine. The reason we are divine is because we are an inseparable part of this universe. We are made of pure energy, intelligence, and unbounded consciousness. There is nothing that separates us from God. Nothing except for the idea that we are separate. The moment we drop this separation idea, we will experience one of the most powerful transformations a human civilization can have. We will experience the realization that this all-intelligent divine playground is all our creation. We will see that everything is happening for us, not to us. When we accept the fact that we are not separate from anything or anyone, life becomes absolutely magical. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and following morning. We will return here Tuesday, February 14th, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with oneself at all times, and stay in the deepest, deepest, deepest of eternal gratitude.